guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you my beauty predictions for 2019. And I did make this video last year. I'm going to be sharing all of my predictions from last year, which ones came true, which ones didn't, and what I think those brands will be releasing in 2019. So if you guys want to hear all my beauty predictions for this year, then just keep on watching. Alright, so I went back and watched my beauty predictions for 2018, and I was actually really impressed with how many of my predictions came true. I know some of them were kind of obvious, but I was actually surprised that so many of the things that I predicted did come true. And I will go ahead and link that video down below in case you guys want to see like in detail all of the predictions that I made for 2018. So I'm going to go and recap through every prediction that I made and what I expect from different brands for this year. So I did predict the Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. However, Tarte did tease that a million times like in the year prior. So Tarte did release that. Obviously, it didn't go over as planned for them with the whole or lack of shade range with that foundation. And also just like it was a very underwhelming in a lot of different senses. I know that I think it was a hydrating foundation was just like another foundation from Tarte that they repackaged. So it was just very half-assed basically, and like there was no effort put into or thought put into that release from Tarte. Basically about like 10 days later, it went on sale for 50% off. I'm pretty sure it's like 50% off at Ulta right now. I would actually say that was like the biggest makeup release flop of 2018. That was pretty disappointing from Tarte. Tarte just showed like there was no innovation going into 2018. Another thing that I did say, I quoted myself and I said that the Tarte Pro palette, but opposite, and that's very similar to the Tarte Pro Remix palette. I did predict that they would come out with, instead of having the 4 shimmers on the side and all the mattes, that it would be all shimmers and just 4 mattes, and that's not necessarily the layout of the Tarte Pro Remix, but it is mostly a shimmer palette with just a few mattes, so that is like a very similar concept. And I think that that palette was like the first step in the right direction for Tarte in 2018. I didn't end up purchasing it. I thought it was like a little too similar to some other products from Tarte, but I do think it is a step in the right direction. Like they're getting somewhere. They're putting some colors in eyeshadow palettes, and hopefully they just kind of keep up with trends in 2019, and they should definitely start creating trends again in 2019. I really felt like in 2018, Tarte went into the year like it was 2008. Like they still came out with really lackluster shade ranges, really lackluster eyeshadow palettes, and like not really innovation with any themes or concepts that go into the different palettes, different formulas. It was just kind of like the same old, same old. So I really hope that the Tarte Pro Remix was like the first like step in the right direction for Tarte, and they're just gonna really surprise us in 2019. I'm hoping for that because Tarte used to be my favorite brand, and now like I don't even think about them. All right, and my last prediction from last year for Tarte was a Tarte lip palette that had a silver and blue theme, and they kind of came out with it, but not really. So they had the April Fool's joke, the Icy Bitch palette that everyone thought was real, but then they were like, no, just kidding, we would never release blue eyeshadow. That is ridiculous. I think they need to follow up on that this year for sure. And I think they have kind of teased on Twitter or Instagram that there is like a blue eyeshadow palette in the works, and blues are really trendy right now. So they should have made it when they had the chance, and it's gonna be a little too late, but still they need to follow up on that idea. They definitely need to come out with a Tarte lip palette that has those silvers and blues, or just color. Just give me like one blue in a palette and not just brown Tarte. So hopefully that is the case. I just want to see more progress from Tarte in 2019. And then next, one of my predictions from last year was that Anastasia, well, this one did come true, that they would come out with single bronzers, and that did happen. I was really happy about that. And then also that they would come out with liquid foundations. And I'm actually surprised we have not seen this from Anastasia yet, because I remember it being teased like at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year that Anastasia would release liquid foundation. So I'm hoping to see that really soon in the beginning of 2019. I'm gonna be all over that for sure. Anastasia is like my favorite brand. They come out with really high quality products, but not only foundations. I want to see setting powders and concealers from Anastasia, and I feel like they're gonna have a really great range within that as well. And I also think that Anastasia will come out with the best rival to the Laura Mercier setting powder. I just find that Anastasia is a really innovative brand. I just love Anastasia so much because they come out with really like revolutionary makeup products. They set trends. They came out with the contour kit, the glow kits, and that just kind of like took over makeup for a couple of years. So I'm really hoping that they come out with like something that kind of steps up that Laura Mercier setting powder. And I'm just thinking of that product specifically because I think a lot of other brands come out with these loose setting powders and they get hyped up for a little while and then they go away. So I think that Anastasia will come out with something that is like a really close rival to that. And then I also think that they should definitely come out with the Modern Renaissance palette number 2. So I definitely think that the Modern Renaissance palette should be a series like the Naked palettes, the Chocolate Bar palettes, because it was such an iconic palette when it first came out. It was just like a whole new color scheme compared to just like all brown tone palettes that we had seen so many years prior. And I think that they could just kind of continue with that idea and keep following up on it, especially now like with the Norvina palette and the Sultry palette. Those palettes really get compared to the Modern Renaissance palette all the time. And those could have easily been like the Modern Renaissance palette 2, the Modern Renaissance palette 3. And I do think that a lot more people would end up buying those palettes if they thought of it as like a series and wanting to like have all of the palettes within that collection. So I think that they should definitely follow up on the Modern Renaissance palette just so all of the Anastasia palettes become a little bit more cohesive and there's like more of a presence within them. So I do really hope that Anastasia does that in 2019, or even like a Modern Renaissance palette expanded and make like a larger palette with the Modern Renaissance theme for 2019. All right, so my predictions for Too Faced last year were that they would come out with a pie themed palette, and they definitely did not do that, but it's kind of a similar idea of the Tutti Frutti collection. I just thought that with a pie themed palette, they could have like blueberry, strawberry, apple, like every fruit ever, and they kind of did a very similar concept with the Tutti Frutti collection. I also thought that they would have like a strawberry themed palette. I don't know if they would do that right now because we just had the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette, but maybe because of that, Too Faced might go into that like cherry or strawberry kind of theme. And they do have the Chocolate Bonbons palette for more of that like pink and red tone, but it's definitely not as intense and vibrant and warm with like different berry tones and purple tones compared to like a strawberry theme or a cherry theme. So I think we're still waiting to see that from Too Faced. I did say in that video last year, like the Modern Renaissance palette, but from Too Faced, and I'm still waiting for that similar idea to happen. I also predicted that Too Faced would release a mint chocolate chip palette. I didn't think that it would be released in 2018, but I'm thinking it's gonna be coming out in 2019. And the reason I didn't think it would happen in 2018 was because the Clover palette came out in 2017, and I feel like that was like a similar vibe to a mint chocolate chip palette. Maybe not quite, but the packaging was green. I feel like at this point enough time has passed and they could come out with a mint chocolate chip palette, especially because greens and blues are super in right now. So if they have like a mint palette that has cream colors, browns, and like shimmers, and then a couple blues and greens here and there, I think that would do really, really well for Too Faced right now going into 2019. And then another trend right now is definitely like the remastered palette idea. We saw it with the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette, and now we're seeing teasers for Urban Decay Remastered or Reloaded, I think it's called. That's gonna be coming out in 2019. I think that Too Faced can definitely pull that off for the Chocolate Bar palette, because I feel like a lot of us do have like those warm feelings about the Chocolate Bar palette, just like we did for the Urban Decay Naked palette, but it doesn't really make sense in 2019. Like the pigmentation, the formula or lack thereof pigmentation of that palette compared to like what we expect out of eyeshadows nowadays compared to like 2012 is not really there with the original Chocolate Bar palette, but it does give me like a lot of nostalgia. It was like my first high-end palette ever, so I would love to see that kind of concept just remastered into like the same formula as like the gingerbread palette or the chocolate gold palette. So I think that they should definitely do like an upgraded version of the original Chocolate Bar palette. And when the Chocolate Bar palette first came out, I really don't think anybody had a problem with it. I loved it to death. I loved the formula. It was everything that I wanted in an eyeshadow palette. But now we're seeing so much innovation with different eyeshadow textures and formulas that I think that they can create that same concept and bring it into 2019. So that's what I'm really hoping for this year. I think that Too Faced does really well with their chocolate bar palettes. Like if you just look at like the Tutti Frutti collection, that was just kind of like a one-hit wonder for the summer. Even just the Pretty Rich collection that I reviewed a couple weeks ago, I feel like people are already over it. And then the chocolate bar palettes are more timeless to the Too Faced collection. So I would love to see like more expansion on the chocolate bar range from Too Faced. I love their full-size palette, so I'm hoping to see more of that. And then next I did predict that Benefit Cosmetics would come out with the Hoola bronzer, but for deeper complexions. That's already been teased. That's gonna come out early in 2019. Another prediction I had was that they would come out with a Hoola Glow bronzer, like a shimmery bronzer basically, because Too Faced did release the chocolate gold bronzer, which I absolutely love. And a lot of the Becca bronzers also have like that shimmery glow to them, and I absolutely love those too. So selfishly, I really want Benefit to come out with a shimmery Hoola bronzer. I really hope that happens in 2019. I was also hoping that Benefit would come out with concealers in 2018, and that did not happen, but they did come out with the Hello Happy foundation, which I actually really like. So I'm hoping that they come out with like a Hello Happy concealer in 2019. I think that would make a lot of sense. So hopefully they expand on that a bit in 2019. We see some more complexion products from Benefit and not just like the box blushes, bronzers, and mascaras. All right, so next up, all of my predictions for ColourPop came true. And I predicted they would come out with foundations, primers, and setting sprays. And that definitely all happened in 2018, and also skincare. So ColourPop came out with a sister line called Fourth Ray. I still need to try it out, of a whole skincare collection. So we definitely saw so much from ColourPop in 2018. ColourPop went crazy in 2018. I think at the end of 2017, they just had like 2 or 3 eyeshadow palettes, and now they have like 2 or 3 eyeshadow palettes a day. Like as soon as I get my ColourPop order, it's time to like buy the next ColourPop eyeshadow palette collection. So we definitely saw a lot from ColourPop in 2018. And one thing that I think is gonna happen in 2019 is we're gonna see some price increases from ColourPop. Already their eyeshadow palettes are getting a little bit pricier. They are getting bigger, they are getting nicer. And I do think that they will just get pricier throughout the year. We're gonna get maybe into the $30 range from ColourPop with eyeshadow palettes in 2019. I hope not, but at the same time, as their prices increase, I do feel like they're putting a lot more effort into their eyeshadow palettes. We're getting better packaging and like better concepts overall with their eyeshadow palettes. So I think it's still gonna be semi-affordable, but not like as surprisingly affordable as it was a while back. I also think we'll have a lot more celebrity collabs with ColourPop in 2019. We recently had the Becky G collab, which I was so thrilled about because I'm super obsessed with Becky G, and I just see ColourPop having a lot more celebrity influence in 2019. And then when it comes to influencer collabs, I feel like ColourPop is gonna be dominating the space and basically taking over kind of like Morphe, and ColourPop's probably gonna be like the new Morphe by 2019 with all of their influencer collabs, and I think that they're gonna be promoted a lot more heavily by influencers in 2019. I see them doing like what Morphe does with having like brush kits and just like different collabs of products that may already exist in the line, but just have like an influencer favorites kind of kit from ColourPop, from all different types of influencers in 2019. I hope that they collab with a lot more and different people in 2019. I really want to see a That Girl Shay collab in ColourPop in 2019. I think a lot of us want to see that too because Shay is so passionate about ColourPop. So I'm hoping that that happens in 2019 as well. And also mascara and liquid liner, because those are the only things that ColourPop is currently missing right now. Okay, so last year I did think that Stila would come out with some really amazing eyeshadow palettes in 2018, and we didn't see that, but I really hope that that happens this year. Last year or 2 years ago, we had the Stila Glitter and Glows and so many glitter products from Stila, so I really think that they would come out with like a pressed glitter palette or just like a glitter, really glittery palette in 2019, something that's like a completely new style for Stila. And I also think that they're going to be coming out with like those pressed pigments similar to like what I have. I always have this in front of me because I wear it all the time. Like these from Marc Jacobs, like the sequin eyeshadows, or like the Tarte chrome paint or the hourglass scatter lights, something like that for Stila would be amazing. Like basically the Stila Glitter and Glows, but a cream formula. I think that would be really, really awesome. Or even having an eyeshadow palette with a pressed glitter focus in 2019 would be awesome, because I feel like Stila comes out with some really innovative products, but they're still like underhyped for some reason. So I think if it had an eyeshadow palette that was dedicated to like what Stila does best, then we would see like a lot more attention drawn to Stila in 2019. And then my last prediction from last year was that Kylie Cosmetics would end up in Sephora, and Kylie ended up in Ulta. And I think that makes total sense, because Ulta is still like a little bit more, I feel like it has more of like a younger feel to it compared to Sephora. And that's what Kylie is. It has more of a younger vibe, but it still has a little bit of a pricier vibe too. So I think that Kylie definitely makes sense in Ulta, but I do think that KKW will end up in Sephora. Kylie Cosmetics still has like kind of a cutesy vibe with some of the collections. Some of them are more fun and playful, where it makes less sense to have like that in like a prestige store like Sephora. Not necessarily, but let's just roll with this for a second. I feel like KKW definitely has more of like that clean, sophisticated look with the packaging, and it's not as like playful as Kylie Cosmetics. So I could definitely see KKW being in Sephora. And then one thing that I think would be so fun if KKW released would be foundations. I think that Kim is working on foundations because she did release concealers and like similar products, complexion products this year as well. So I definitely see foundations coming out from KKW in 2019, and I think it would be so fun if they were shaped like Kim Kardashian's face, because we did see the KKW body perfume that was shaped like Kim Kardashian's body this year, so they could totally do that same concept with foundations shaped like her face. And I don't think it would be like basically like a cartoon or anything. I think it would be a little bit more maybe mysterious, or just kind of like an outline of a face, a little bit more vague. But I think foundation in that kind of packaging, I would buy it just to have like a cute little bottle of a face on my vanity. So I think that that would be awesome if they can make like kind of a sleek and not so like in your face way of having her face on a foundation bottle, and it just be like a glass bottle with an outline of her face. I would totally buy that, even if it was like $70. I feel like it would be such a like must-have item or something. Like I have FOMO already thinking about not having this in my life. And I think that whatever foundation that KKW releases has to be awesome, because she always raves about the Giorgio Armani Luminous Soap Foundation, so it has to be up there with that foundation. And I think if she goes like really innovative with the packaging, it will make up for that like Ziploc packaging that she had back in the day when she first came out with her contour sticks. So I think that she needs to like go in a completely new direction, and everybody will be paying attention to that foundation for sure. So I really hope that that happens. I can totally see her having really innovative packaging for her foundation, just like she does for the body fragrance, and all of her fragrances are really interesting packaging. So if she comes out with a glass bottle for foundation, it should be shaped like her face, or a face, or something a little bit different than just like a regular foundation bottle. Alright guys, so those are all of the makeup predictions that I have for 2019. Let me know which ones you think will come true in 2019 in the comments below. If you guys have any other ideas, there's so many other brands that I didn't mention. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as well. And if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.